All right, John, so what else can we do to improve our trigger response in our KWA rifle?
Personal space. Hey guys, John with KWA here. I've enlisted the help of AJ with Airsoft Megastore to answer a few of the top questions you guys ask us all the time about improving trigger response on your KWA rifles here. And today we have the Ronin T6.
That's right, John. We're going to be showing you guys how to improve the trigger response. This is going to be a first episode in a two-part series. We're going to be looking at non-invasive ways to improve the trigger response on your KWA rifle. John, why don't you tell me about those two ways?
Is going to be the batteries and also the motors. So here we have a high torque motor and a high speed motor. And here we have a couple different batteries. We have 8.4, 9.6, 7.4 volt LiPo, and 11.1 volt LiPo. The 8.4 and 9.6 are guns you're probably going to get in some sort of entry-level package.
All right, guys. Well, if you didn't know, some airsoft guns actually use batteries, not your standard AA or AAA batteries. No, not those lame batteries. They actually use these specialty batteries. John, what kind of batteries do we got right here?
Right here we have four of your main types of batteries that you're going to see out there on the field or see people using. You're going to have stuff like your 9.6, 8.4, which are going to come with some of your like beginner packages, some of those entry-level guns, all the way up to like your 7.4 LiPos to 11.1 LiPos, which is going to give you a lot more juice, better trigger response. So we're going to do some testing right now. We're going to start off with the 8.4, 9.6s and then work our way up to the 11.1. And we're going to show you guys exactly what kind of difference we're talking about.
We're going to start the test with the nickel metal Hydride batteries. First, we're going to do with the 8.4, then we're going to hit the 9.6, 7.4, and then the 11.1 LiPo. So let's go ahead and kick it off. Yikes.
All right, put it through the chrono, find out the RPS on this guy. 10.5.
And let's go ahead and test the trigger response and the ROF with the 9.6 volt nickel metal Hydride battery. Should be getting a little bit of better response, shouldn't sound so whiny with that battery as well, and the RPS should take a little bit of a jump. Yeah, it sounds significantly better.
Quite a boost.
Yeah,
in the rate of fire there. Let's see about the actual reading on it. That was reading about 17.9.
So a very significant jump from the 8.4 to the 9.6.
All right, 7.4. Let's see how this one goes. All right, 14.82. So the rate of fire actually slowed down between the 9.6 and the 7.4 volt battery.
A little surprising, but it does have a lower voltage. But now we're going to be using the 11.1, which is actually the recommended battery to use with the T6 from KWA. Fits perfectly, so let's go ahead and kick off the shooting test with this.
All right, well, that's a lot better than the 7.4, 9.6. Let's see what it reads. 22.25 rounds per second.
Which is just in the advertised range of this rifle. It should be shooting 20 to 22 RPS out of the box, depending on the model. Your rifle might not be reading at 22. It should be in that range though, but definitely recommend using an 11.1 LiPo if you do want the best trigger response with this rifle.
Alright guys, so we just did the testing with all the different batteries, the 9.6, 8.4, 7.4, and 11.1 LiPos. You guys saw the drastic difference between all of them. So now we're going to kind of go to the next step in upgrading your trigger response, the next easiest thing to do, and that's going to be switching out your motor. We have an E&L high torque motor, and we also have this Lonex high speed 40K motor. Basically, high torque is going to give you better trigger response, it's going to torque the gear set faster, get everything cycled, whereas this one's going to focus mostly on just the speed and rate of fire at which you're going for. So depending on if you're going for a high speed build, high torque build, you might need to consider your motor types accordingly.
All right guys, if you're not a nerd like John, what he basically said in layman's terms is we're going to be throwing in a high torque motor and a high speed motor and seeing what kind of trigger response we get. So let's go ahead and get it started.
Okay, so here we have the E&L high torque motor. We're going to see just how much of a difference that gives us in terms of the trigger response. So let's go ahead and get that installed.
Specifically, the E&L motor we're using is the M120. So if you decide to change the spring out for this and you're not going to use a high-speed motor, you could use up to an M170 spring. One thing to note when you change the motors on any airsoft rifle is to make sure that the connections are on the right ports. So you want to make sure the red is on the positive and the black is on the negative.
Red port and then the black one or silver one in this case. Now, a lot of you might be wondering what exactly this is here. This is actually the SLE, the switch life extender. So when we talk about, you know, having this little guy on here, which helps, you know, quadruple your trigger life, this is the exact piece that we're talking about. For this test, we're not going to be transferring that over because we will be installing a gate titan here very shortly. So let's get this one installed.
Alright guys, so just make sure to keep in mind that the KWA T6 does have a 90-day warranty. However, if you do change the motor before the warranty is over, it could void your warranty. So keep that in mind if you are going to make any upgrades on this rifle.
Now that we have the motor installed here, we're going to go ahead and test it out, see how the rate of fire and the trigger response increases or decreases. I know for a fact that since this is a high torque motor, whereas the stock one is a little bit more of a hybrid, the rate of fire will be going down on this most likely, but the trigger response should be going up quite a bit. So let's go ahead, plug in the battery, load a mag, and see how this goes. The rate of fire did decrease a little bit, and actually let's go ahead and flip the chrono, see exactly what it's at now.
During the original test with the original KWA motor, it was shooting at around 22 RPS. So let's see what it's shooting at compared to that.
Cool. So we're at ammo now, and the rate of fire on this guy is showing at 20.4 rounds per second. So we did see a little bit of a drop in rate of fire as expected, since this is more of a high torque motor rather than high speed. Now we're going to go ahead and install the high-speed Lonex A3 motor and see exactly how that performs. Alright, so that one was clocking in right at about 21.5 rounds a second. So the rate of fire stayed about the same, went down a little bit actually, so the stock KWA high torque motor is actually going to be the faster motor here. That high speed motor did give a pretty substantial boost in trigger response, just as well as the high torque did. Though the high torque suffered a little bit more of a decrease in rate of fire.
Yeah, I feel like the high speed motor probably definitely gave a better trigger response compared to the hybrid motor and the high torque motor. The E&L high torque motor I feel was the most improved in terms of performance. The high torque motor being from KWA being the first, and then this one giving you a little bit of boost in terms of the ROF. However, it did have a drop in terms of RPS, so you might want to take that into consideration when upgrading your rifle. Alright guys, so that concludes the first half of our two-part series. We showed non-invasive ways to improve the trigger response on your rifle. With the batteries, we found that the 11.1 volt LiPo battery was definitely the battery to use with this KWA T6. It's actually the recommended battery that KWA tells you guys to use on this rifle. So if you haven't already picked one up and plan on picking up a T6, go ahead and get one from AirsoftMegastore.com. Now, what did you think about the motor test?
Yeah, so as we saw with the results of that, the stock KWA motor is more of a hybrid, like high torque, high speed. That actually gave us the best rate of fire results out of this, and this is the, we were using the high speed Lonex 40,000 motor. So I was kind of surprised it actually had a little bit less rate of fire, 1/2 round a second less than the stock one. And in terms of trigger response, they were actually pretty darn similar. You thought that the high torque one might have a little bit better. I'm still undecided. Next episode, when we go into the invasive stuff, we're going to actually install a gate titan in this thing, and the diagnostics in that will be able to read us off the difference in trigger response time between the high torque and the high speed, so we'll be able to get you guys a definitive answer.
Yeah guys, so make sure to tune in to the next episode of this two-part series. It's been AJ from Airsoft Megastore.
And John with KWA.
Catch you guys on the next one.